Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. My name is Josh Unhar. I am the Executive Director of Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing Corporation. We are a nonprofit housing development group out of Logan, Utah. We are one of the co-developers on Colony B, along with our development partner, Defy Company. We are thankful for everybody's support of this project. And so just a general layout for what we're going to do. I'm going to have a couple of remarks. We've got a series of people on our speaker list. After the speakers are done, we will be giving tours of the building. We've got staff there available to help you through the building. There's 5 levels and multiple units that are open and available to look through. Just to give you kind of an outline of the project, Colony B started with Defy Co. and Neighborhood Nonprofit a little over 2.5 years ago, looking at a piece of land here. You know, we saw the great potential for this building. It was in a neighborhood that needs some reinvestment. It was a neighborhood that we saw the potential for investment. We had a piece of land that we managed to fit 140 units on. We've got 131 studio units and 9 one-bedroom. Of those, we've got 106 affordable units. They range from 25% area median income up to 50% area median income. But even the 34 units that are quote-unquote market rate are renting at about 70% area median. So even our market rate units are affordable. 15 units are ADA accessible, and with our partners over at Volunteers of America, we've got 11 units reserved for young people that are aging out of foster care. So we're excited to see the progress of this building. We opened exactly a week ago on March 1st, and we're already 1/3 leased up, essentially. So we know the demand is there. The building in total was a $22.5 million construction cost. Construction took 16 months. That was probably the 16 longest months of our staff and DeFiCo staff's lives, because if you think back to a year and a half ago and what was happening in the market, we were literally watching the market every day, watching lumber prices go up, then go down, then go up again, and then never come back down. As we're trying to figure out how to get this building to fund. Even after we managed to get this building to fund, which came through a lot of work of not only our team, but our investor partners, we had labor availability, we had supply chain problems, things just didn't show up. Cure Construction, I think, did a fantastic job making sure that the building actually got built. Without their dedication, it would have gone nowhere. The building is brought forward through both tax credits and private equity. Tax credits are a program that bring investment dollars to projects where we can provide affordability. That helps us reduce the overall cost to construction because we've got equity dollars out front. That allows us to rent projects at a lower rate. Our primary investment partner is the Richmond Group. Terry will be talking to us in a few minutes. They brought with them American Express, Key Bank, Ally Bank, and Zions Bank to help fund the tax credits. As I mentioned, Cure Construction did the construction on this project. We've had Cure Construction on many, if not all, of our construction projects, and they do a fantastic job. Rocky Mountain CRC is providing all of our perm lending. We have funding through the Department of Workforce Services, Housing and Community Development, also known as Olin Walker, Utah Housing, Salt Lake City, and the Salt Lake City RDA. And then we've got RAD Architecture Design is our architect on the project, and of course Volunteers of America are partnering with us to help us with getting some of those young people aging out of foster care into our facility. We'd also like to say a special thanks to the Urban Indian Center. If you haven't been outside, it is a little bit chilly. When we first started sending out invitations, we were thinking 45, 50 people, and then we rapidly hit 100 people, and we were trying to figure out how to set a tent up in the parking lot of the building, and then looking at the weather thinking, is it going to snow, rain, or otherwise. Luckily, the Urban Indian Center, where we're now seated, was willing to accommodate us, and they put us up very rapidly. So we'd like to thank them. And also Sway Staging and Design. You'll see that we've staged a couple of the units so that you can see exactly how livable a studio apartment can be. I don't want to take up any more time because I know we have a lot of people that have good things to say. The agenda of speakers, if you didn't grab one, is in the back. The next speaker will turn some time over to Mayor Mendenhall with Salt Lake City, and we'll go from there. When we get through the list of speakers, I'll come back up and we can direct how we're going to handle the walkthrough of the building.
Thanks, Josh. Congratulations, Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing and DeFiCo. There are a lot of you here. And when I was talking to Jake, who's going to speak right after me with DeFiCo Labs, pardon me, he was like, we didn't expect this many people were going to want to come out. But as you can see from the names on this board and the people who are about to speak, it really takes a village to build affordable housing. It's not something that happens quietly with a single developer in their own capital stack, and they open the doors quietly by hanging a now leasing sign. It takes all of us to make sure that literally all of us can keep living in this city, that we can afford to be here, that our kids can grow up and see themselves living here at any stage in life. I know I've needed affordable housing at different stages in my life, and depending on the market forces and how readily available cheaper housing was, thankfully at those stages in my life I didn't have to go try to find subsidized units because they still existed in the city. They don't exist anymore. Naturally occurring affordability is almost non-existent in the city. It's but for projects like this that bring a community together, not only to fund it, but to make sure that the zoning is there and applicable, and that the city is working with them as a partner, the county is working as a partner. You have to have a vision and be tenacious about it. So on behalf of Salt Lake City, thank you, all of you, for your part in making this happen. And actually to the members of the media who are here today, I think it's worth noting again that 11 of these units are set aside for youth who are exiting the foster care system. And it is, I've come to understand from these partners that they're having a hard time finding those applicants. So to our media out there, please help us get the word out, not only that there's 11 units for youth exiting foster care, but also that there's 15 ADA accessible units. And I know from our own accessibility advisory committee with the capital city that not only do we need more ADA accessible units, but getting the knowledge out there when they're available is a big deal. So through our own communities of conversation and our networks, let's help make sure these units are filled and that are available for the people who need them most. I'll wrap up by saying that I believe this is the year of affordable housing in Salt Lake City. Just last week, our council members, you'll hear from Council Member Alejandro Poy in just a moment, we broke ground with our RDA partners, Spark Development, Housing Authority, so many, a similar community of people on 200 units on North Temple Corridor at the Spark Development. That's going to have a 5,000 square foot childcare facility within, space for a coffee shop finally on North Temple that's farther west of 9th West, and really build community in an affordable way with family-sized units. At 3 o'clock, Councilmember Poy and I, and hopefully some of you, will be at the groundbreaking for our very first tiny home village, 60 tiny home units that are going to be open to people chronically homeless today in Salt Lake City. So the ball is rolling, and you're going to see many more groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. But really, it's so much more than the ribbon cutting and the groundbreaking. It's about housing stability and space and place for every one of us. So thank you to the partners, and I'll hand it back over to Jake with the FICO Labs.
This is pretty crazy. It's been a lot of years coming, but I invite everyone to look around and just second what the mayor said. it takes a village. I'm really glad Josh listed out all of our partners because I know I'd forget somebody. We've got city funding, it's a national program, federal program, we've got the county involved, this just across the board, people have stepped up to make this project a reality. And for me, I told my mom she couldn't come because if I made eye contact with her, I'd probably cry. But for me, it's so fun to have everybody in this room because I've probably exchanged an email or two, or for some of you, a few hundred to get this project out of the ground. But it's not about me, it's about this room. It's about what we can do collectively together as a group, and it's pretty amazing to be even a small part of. Stuff that we were worried about last week, I'm looking at the Kier construction team when we were scrubbing floors to make sure all the glue got up off the floor and all the other things. Today doesn't really matter. What matters is that there's 15 or 20 people that have already moved in. It was super exciting. I got to meet a couple of them. I had worries like, oh, maybe our halls aren't big enough. Maybe it's going to be hard to get furniture in. And it was pretty eye-opening when the first tenants moved in because they had their bags in their hands. And that was it. They didn't have couches or furniture to move. They had a blow-up mattress. And this hopefully is a place as you go in and as you tour, I hope that it can inspire you, because that's our hope, is to say, hey, this is what we can do when we come together as a community. I don't know what your religious background is. I don't know what your political background is. Maybe I know the mayor's political background, but that's about it, right? And it doesn't matter. What matters is that this community of people came together and provided some pretty amazing housing that hopefully will become a place for the foster kids aging out of foster care. Hopefully it becomes a launching pad, a place where they can feel safe, where they can feel inspired. And I hope it does the same for you. I think for me, ultimately today's really just about gratitude and just big thank yous to everyone who's been a part of this. And my call to action is each of you I know has a talent or a skill. It's not about the pro formas and the numbers, right? It's not about 140 units. It's about 140 lives that we got to take part in changing. And I hope that as you look at your own life, you'll find ways to use your talents and your skills to participate in this work, because it's really important. And we appreciate all of you being out. We're excited to share this with you. It's a big we thing, and that's what's the coolest part about it. So thank you. And I don't know who's next, so.
Thank you, Jake. I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it was to work with Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing Corporation and DeFico once more. You guys do great work. You're a class act. 20 years ago, I believe, to this year, we were involved with Neighborhood Nonprofit on the first project we did with them in Providence, Utah, called Providence Place. Although a lot of the names and faces have changed, the mission is the same. Build affordable housing, enhance communities, and improve the quality of life wherever they go. So my hat's off to you. I'd like to take a minute and introduce our project management team. If you'd stand up when I call out your name. I'm going to start with project manager Braden Burrell, whose leadership played a huge role in the success of this project. Superintendents Carson Kier and Austin Weaver, and project engineer Steve Herschel. You guys, I know there were several challenges on this project. I also know that you met them head on. Good job, fellas. The atmosphere throughout this project was one of collaboration. Each week at the OAC meetings, together with the Kier project management team, Justin and Sean from Neighborhood Nonprofit, Jake with DeFico, Jared with Rad Architecture, along with his group of consultants. During the meeting, the air was all about problem solving, teamwork, and whatever action needed to happen to push this building forth, push it forward. Congratulations, you guys. I mean, you navigated the stormiest waters I can say I've never seen. In a pandemic, broken supply chain, very broken, construction costs that were out of control, fluctuating daily. And oh, by the way, we're still in a huge manpower crisis. And here we are together today, along with your financial partners, Utah Housing, looking at a beautiful building, a building that is affordable housing at its finest. Bravo to all of you that have been involved in this project. Thanks. Who am I handing off the baton to, Josh?
Clint. Clint?
Clint Costley?
Alejandro.
Oh,
Sorry, I have a bad list.
I guess it's me. So I wanted to, I'm Alejandro Puy, I serve on the City Council. I'm also the board chair of the RDA. I'm representing here the RDA. I just wanted to thank the amazing people that worked very hard to make this happen. Not only these logos here on this banner, but these logos are faces, and probably many of those faces are not here in this room to make a huge difference on affordable housing in our city. This city is committed to affordable housing across the board. We're working so hard, and there's almost not a day that we're talking about how to make this happen across the board in every part of the city. We want projects like this, and if you've been part of these projects, don't stop there. We have partners here. Don't let us go too far without talking about what is next, because we want to be partners with you to make this happen across the city. The amount of units, the affordable units in this case, over 140 units in this project is incredible. Next to a track station where people can actually go find jobs, go to visit their families and move on and build a family and stabilize themselves is huge. So I just wanted to thank everybody here. I wanted to thank the RDA staff because I know how much they work to make this happen. I want to thank the city, the leadership of the mayor and the council. I also want to thank the county council, where I learned about policy originally, and where I learned some of the amazing people that work there. But the many people that I don't know here, thank you. Thank you for working so hard for those faces, for those people that are going to be living in those units. Thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Darren Mono. I am the chair of the City Council. I am also a resident of this neighborhood. So to me, this is very exciting to be here today. Thank you so much to the Urban Indian Center for hosting us. This place is one of the most incredible, sort of under-celebrated community resources that we have in our city. So thank you so much for letting us be here today and for everything that you do for the community. Housing is so essential to what we do as a city and to what we need to do to support our neighbors. I'm an architect, so housing is exciting and interesting to me. As an architecture student, you would learn about these big public housing projects like Pruitt-Igoe or think Cabrini Green, and I'm so glad that we don't do housing that way in our city and in our community. We do housing in these beautiful new buildings like this, all of them individual, all of them unique, serving individual populations, and that does so much more for our community and for redeveloping our neighborhoods than massive public housing projects can be. And this one is especially exciting because this one will have specific dedicated set-aside units for people exiting the foster care system. And I can't think of a more necessary group of people to house than that. But again, while that is all incredibly exciting and important, one other thing that's really exciting about this specific project is that if you look around right now at the ballpark neighborhood, I love my neighborhood. And I think we have a really incredible place here. But there's going to be so much change on the horizon. The recently passed ballpark station area plan is going to guide those changes. But projects like this, bringing more residents into our community and to our neighborhood to help build and create excitement and patronize new businesses are exactly what we need, and I'm so excited to be here to celebrate this with you today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Erin Litvack. I'm a deputy mayor for Salt Lake County. It's an honor to be here today. I used to live in this neighborhood too, Darren. I used to live right over here on Edith Avenue. Now I'm a Central City resident, so I'm a neighbor to the neighborhood. So exciting to see what's happening in this community. It's an honor to be here to represent Salt Lake County and Mayor Jenny Wilson and to celebrate 140 new accessible, affordable units in our community. Projects like these are critical to resolving the housing crisis in our county, our city, and frankly, this entire country. Affordable units for low and very low income individuals with amenities that help build a sense of community and located where ease and access for transportation, shopping, medical, entertainment, all is within a stone's throw of this development. Partners between nonprofit, government, and for-profit sectors are creating opportunities for a wide range of projects like this one. I've been asked to highlight a little bit today some of the projects that Salt Lake County is working on with partners just like this. So assemblage of partners that happen on every single project that comes to fruition. We've strongly supported housing opportunities for extremely vulnerable populations at Salt Lake County. I'd like to take a minute to highlight some of these that we are privileged to be a partner on. For our seriously mentally ill clients within our communities that are cycling in and out of inpatient treatment and incarceration just because of their illness, we've worked hand in hand with Housing Connect and other providers to remodel existing properties to expand capacity and increase quality of life at our boarding home properties. This was accomplished most recently at Sunstone in West Valley City, which provides housing for women with serious mental illness, and the Jasper in Midvale, which provides 18 beds for seriously mentally ill men. We continue to look forward to new opportunities to add to this portfolio. The county assists these projects by playing a vital role in the remodel and helping pay for the remodels of these facilities, providing Medicaid daily support living rate, which allows us to provide services for those that are living in these communities to remain housed and to have the support that they need, and rental subsidies when needed. For those experiencing homelessness in our community, Salt Lake County has recently financially supported 3 critical projects. I believe Salt Lake City is involved in all 3 of them as well. The Point Housing Project with Switch Point that was out near the airport, we contributed funding to. The Tiny Home Village with the Other Side Academy and Salt Lake City, which is opening this afternoon. Is that correct? The groundbreaking. Yes, I wish it was opening. I was privileged to initiate or be with the initiates of that conversation with Mayor Mendenhall, so thank you for your leadership on that project. I'm excited to see diverse opportunities for housing in our community, and I think it's a new way to look at housing, and I'm excited to see how that comes to fruition. And then another project we're working on, which is called the Medically Vulnerable People Project. We call it the MVP project. This project was born out of lessons learned from COVID. During the pandemic, we looked for housing opportunities for those to remove from congregate settings to be in safe spaces where they could live freely without worry of catching the pandemic. These are people with serious persistent medical conditions and those that are aging in our community, which unfortunately in our homeless community we're starting to see a higher percentage of those that are senior citizens. This non-congregate housing opportunity will be in addition to our system that stabilizes and provides appropriate continuum of care for medical needs to allow these folks to stabilize and move them into long-term housing solutions. This partnership has multiple funders, including Salt Lake City, many nonprofit partners, including Shelter the Homeless, the Road Home, and the 4th Street Clinic. We're hoping to be able to open this project before the end of this year. Finally, I'd like to highlight and commend our Salt Lake County Mayor and Council. We were able to put in $20 million from the American Rescue Plan into the Salt Lake County Housing Trust Fund, which has a goal of building 1,200 combined units of affordable housing by the end of 2026. The Housing Trust Fund will provide grants and loans to community housing organizations, nonprofit housing providers, and private developers to closely reviewed ARPA-eligible projects. When making funding decisions, there will be emphasis placed on that community, that sense of community that we talked about, near food, near jobs, near broadband, transportation, schools, and resources. The Housing Trust Fund is overseen by a 9-member advisory board and administered by our Office of Regional Development. The request for applications is still open. It opened on February 6th and closes on March 15th. So if you have an idea for a project, get it in the pipeline. We've already received $29.5 million in requests, proposing 2,001 units. As you can see, Salt Lake County is committed to being a part of the solution, and together we can work to create a home for everyone in Salt Lake County. Congratulations to Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing Corporation and all of your partners. Very excited to be here today. Thank you. Claudia?
Terry, we had some late changes on the, on the thing, and we also skipped Terry, one of the most important
Okay.
pieces, so.
Terry? I feel like we're passing the baton.
Well, good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and celebrate with our partners. A big thank you to Dubai, to Neighborhood Housing for their tremendous work in getting to a completion and starting to house residents. As somebody who has spent nearly 20 years working in affordable housing, and particularly in Utah, I think it's important to celebrate these milestones, to recognize all the work and the partners that have participated. The Richmond Group sponsors funds. Our investors, who several of them are here today, American Express, Zions Bank, Ally Bank, and Key Bank. Without their funds, this project wouldn't happen. And it's their commitment to the community, to affordable housing, that should be celebrated. I mean, we have great partners who looked at this project in a holistic manner. There are a lot of obstacles to get to where we are today, and they really stepped up, and we appreciate all of their hard work in affordable housing. The housing is, we know, the cheapest and the best way to reduce multi-generational poverty. Access to affordable housing is what gives economic mobility. And projects like this help create opportunities for individuals to grow wealth. Besides their own, it's a community wealth. Estimates on this project is that residents will spend almost $2 million annually in creating economic benefit to our communities, estimated at about $19 million. So this impacts not just them, but the community as a whole. I'd also like to just take one moment to celebrate the passage of the increase of state tax credits. So people have been following this, and I'll leave some of this to Claudia if she wants to, but this project wouldn't have happened without state funding. Almost more than $250,000 came from the proceeds of state tax credits. So I just want to celebrate this milestone of increasing and how important piece it was in putting this project together. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for celebrating with us.
My name is David Damshin. I'm not Claudia O'Grady. Claudia's back in the back of the room. Wave at Claudia. I'm pinch hitting, and I'll be very brief. If you're like me, you came here to see this exciting new project, right? That's the main reason we're here. You're not mainly here to hear me talk, and I'm very aware of that. So, David Damshin, Utah Housing Corporation President and CEO. Most importantly, I just want to thank all of you that are here. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for your commitment to this extraordinary project. We couldn't be more thrilled. On behalf of our team at Utah Housing Corporation, particularly Claudia O'Grady and our team in multifamily finance, what an honor and a privilege it is to be a part of this project. And I just want to thank you all for the opportunity. Utah Housing Corporation is this state's housing finance agency. Most of you know that. We are also the state's allocator of the low-income housing tax credit. Most of you know that too. Those of you that have been following the legislative session, you know that it just wrapped up on Friday night. And it didn't go all the way till midnight, like I said it would. And you might or might not love everything that the legislature did. And that's okay, that's our process. You may have been following HB 364. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Maybe a couple of you? No? So the state low-income housing tax credit historically has been an important part of the capital stack on so many projects, but what it has amounted to in percentage terms, looking back over 5 years, is 1.07% of total funding sources. So it's kind of a gap funding mechanism primarily. That's what it's been historically. This last session, our legislature took that state low-income housing tax credit and increased it 10x. And it's no longer just gap funding. It's a significant resource that's going to help us develop and finance more units and more projects, 10 times bigger than it used to be. So next time you have a chance to check in with your senator, your representative, please tell them thank you for boosting the state's low-income housing tax credit. We're going to accomplish really, really important things with that critical resource. And with that, I'm happy to hand the mic off to the lectern, possibly, or closing comments. And thanks again so much for coming today. And thanks for all of you that have had a part in this project. What a wonderful day. Thank you.
So Jake reminded me, because things get fuzzy after a year and a half, but this project nearly fell apart. Our costs went up by $1.5 million between when we got our tax credits and when we went to close the project. Steve mentioned that we couldn't get a bid to save our lives. They wouldn't hold a bid for longer than like 7 days. So we're trying to lock in prices. And really what saved this project was the state tax credit. As the last piece of funding that kind of put us over the top as we were trying to fill all of these gaps. When they say gap financing, you're thinking, oh, a little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah, we had multiple gap funding sources that we had to bring together. But that state tax credit really pushed this project over the top. So again, thank you for what we're seeing there on state tax credits. That's going to be a great help to not just our projects in the future, but every project. So we wanted to thank everybody for coming. Thank you to everybody who's gotten up and spoken. It's not always the most envious thing to get up and have to speak, but we do appreciate everybody's efforts on this. I appreciate the fact that everybody realizes and understands the teamwork that is involved in bringing these projects to fruition. They are not easy projects. They are complicated. They are difficult. And that's why it takes, a massive team of people to bring these projects to fruition. And my mic keeps jumping in and out. At this point, we would like to give tours through the building. We've got staff located. The building is directly west of us, just across the tracks line. There are 5 floors. We have some rooms open on each level. There are a few of those rooms are actually staged, so you can see, how furniture fits in there. There are cookies and drinks here. There are cookies and drinks on the 3rd floor, I believe, there. If you do nothing else, please go up to the 5th floor and just get out of the elevators and look out the windows of the common area. There are common areas on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. They all have great views. There's a gym in the common area on the 2nd floor, and of course, the main level is leasing offices and other features there. So please head over. There is a small map of rooms on the brochures if you want to take that. We will have staff located throughout the building too. If you've got questions, look for somebody with a little green lanyard on. They'll be able to help direct you, or just ask anybody else, because everybody in this room has had some part of this project and has probably seen some part of the building. So we'd invite you all to walk over with us, walk through the building at your leisure. Please take some cookies and drinks either here or there. And again, thanks to the Urban Indian Center here, because I think we can all appreciate having stayed warm for the last 45 minutes. So thank you very much.